If you're a federal employee and you saw the headline about the Pentagon maybe committing a war crime, and your first thought was, wait, did my own government just do that? This post is for you. So here's the basic story stripped of the noise. This year, the Trump administration launched a military campaign against boats in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, vessels the U.S. says are carrying drugs for cartels and so-called narco-terrorist groups. Dozens of people have already been killed in these strikes. One strike in particular is now at the center of this firestorm. According to reporting based on unnamed officials, U.S. forces hit a suspected drug boat near Venezuela in early September. Most of the people on board were killed. Two survived that first strike. And then allegedly a second strike was ordered, not because the boat was a threat, but to kill the survivors, after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth supposedly told operators to kill everybody on board. The Pentagon and Hegseth deny this. President Trump says he believes Hegseth, but lawmakers from both parties are now saying, on camera, that if a follow-up strike was ordered just to kill survivors, that could be an illegal act, potentially a war crime, and they want investigations in the House and Senate Armed Services committees. So let's pause there, because war crime, it's one of those nuclear words that gets thrown around a lot online, but in the law it actually means something, so let's talk about it. Even in war, and this is really basic law of armed conflict stuff, you cannot just decide no survivors. Once people are out of the fight, defenseless, or trying to surrender, you don't get to hunt them down. That's the difference between attacking an armed enemy and executing shipwrecked survivors. Legal experts have already pointed out that an order to kill everyone, if it really meant leave no survivors, looks a lot like what's historically called a no-quarter order. And that's the kind of thing that's been treated as a war crime for a long time. Now, to be really clear, right now these are allegations. There will be investigations, documents, testimony, fights over who said what. We don't have all of the facts, and this isn't me telling you that Hegseth or any specific person has committed a war crime. This is general information, not legal advice about your situation or theirs. But I want to talk to you about why the story is hitting many of you, I think, in the gut. Because underneath the headlines about boats and Venezuela and drug cartels, I think the real issue is one you live with every day as a Fed. And that question is, what happens when the chain of command pushes right up against the line of what's legal and what's moral? Who pays the price when an order is unlawful, the person who gave it or the person who carried it out? Now, service members are actually trained that they have a duty to refuse clearly unlawful orders. So a lot of Americans don't know this. If you're a service member, you do. A lot of you are watching this boat story and thinking, well, if they're willing to flirt with the edge of the law over there, what does that mean for me in my little corner of the government? Well, here's the hopeful piece, and I know it doesn't feel very dramatic, but it matters. Oversight is kicking in. In my world, in the EEOC, MSPB, yes, oversight is occurring. In this lane, bipartisan committees are demanding records. There will be hearings, investigations, lawyers. People whose whole job is to say no when the line gets crossed are already in motion. And for you as a federal employee, that's the bigger takeaway. You're not crazy for feeling uneasy. You're not alone if you're asking, what are my obligations if I'm told to do something that feels wrong? Those are exactly the questions good public servants ask. And if you ever find yourself kind of in that position, that's when you slow down, you document, and you potentially talk to a qualified attorney or trusted union rep about your specific situation before you decide what to do next. You take some mindful breaths. So let me leave you with a few questions to chew on, and yeah, these are meant to spark debate. So everybody, if the reporting is accurate, who do you think is more responsible? The cabinet official who allegedly said, alive everybody, or the commander who allegedly carried it out? At what point does just following orders stop being a defense morally, ethically, legally, and start being a confession? Please let me know your thoughts below. How are you feeling as a federal employee? Thank you, everybody, for your support, your time, your attention. Have a great day.